Warning, the following video is rated BH. Any fanboy at risk of BH should exit the video and seek medical attention immediately. Viewer discretion is advised. Your feature presentation will begin in 3, 2, 1, meow. Hey, this is Zero at ReviewZoneHD, and I'm bringing you guys a review for Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch for the PlayStation 3, and yes, I made that introduction special just for this review. It's amazing how loyal of a fan base there is for this game when it's only been out for a few days. But I did manage to cram in 30 hours into the game this week so I can bring you guys this review, which has gotten extremely high scores across the board from most of the major review sites out there. The entire game screams high quality. It's one of the best looking games that I've seen in a while. So let's just go ahead and get this out of the way right out of the gate and answer the question, do I think this game's awesome and one of the best role-playing titles on the market? Yes, I do. Do I think everyone is going to dig this game, and do I love every part of this game? No, I do not. Let's get into the review. I said it best in the first impressions video, this title looks like an animated Winnie the Pooh movie. The color palette and the use of shadows is extremely impressive with constant particle effects and little touches here and there that leaves a lasting impression on every single area that you travel through. One of my subscribers said it best by describing this game as art. Everything about it feels like it was pulled from a children's fairy tale book. The environment's highly detailed to the point that you'll want to stop and just soak everything in on many occasions. The game also runs flawlessly. There wasn't a single hiccup in the frame rate, and speaking of technical issues, this game is spotless. I couldn't find a single technical issue with any part of this game. It also has one of the best cameras that I've seen in an open world title, allowing you to freely move it in all directions in almost every area, including the battlefields. I was pretty surprised at how the difficulty can spike on this game. While most of the game may be focused on the younger audience, the difficulty certainly doesn't drop into that same bucket. I went into a few boss battles thinking I was properly prepared, well geared, and still got slapped around, which included a few game overs. One boss in particular I absolutely just could not beat with the group that I went in with, so I had to retreat and grind out some levels and switch up my entire strategy. The combat system is extremely impressive, mixing old-school turn-based mechanics with real-time frantic action. Button timing also plays a role as you can stun or counter your enemy attacks. Later in the game you can carry around 9 familiars to pull out during battle, along with your 3 main party members, and it can be very chaotic. But one gripe against the way the battle system is set up is that your computer-controlled AI party members will blow through their MP after just a couple random encounters out in the field, even when you set their tactics up to main heal. There are a few puzzles to tackle during your journey, some of which are pretty clever and involved a little brain power to solve. While the game does hold your hand and generally points you in the direction that you need to go to progress the main story, there are tons of side quests that can require a little bit of poking around to find or figure out. While the difficulty can spike here and there, the overall pacing of the game was pretty good, as long as you don't mind grinding for a half hour about every 2 hours of playing. Over the last few days I've pretty much beat this poor horse to death, but yes, this game is geared for the younger crowd, and there's 2 schools of thought on this which can define what you look for and enjoy in a game. If you like the Pokemon games, or you're willing to give the Disney style fairy tale theme a chance, then you're most likely going to absolutely fall in love with this game. You can sink upwards of 50 hours completing the game with more left over to do afterwards. There's also a very deep alchemy and crafting system, and the tried and true gotta catch 'em all theory of obtaining a few hundred familiars. If, however, you fall into the bracket of gamers that avoid titles like Little Big Planet or any of the LEGO series, then you may have a hard time absorbing some aspects of this game, such as its story. I'm not an anime fan, and that could be partially why I just didn't dig the whole fairy tale style story all that much. It does come down to personal taste. It's not that it was a bad plot or bad storytelling, but after watching a ton of cutscenes for the first 10 hours, I did decide it just wasn't for me and began skipping through them. They do get a bit long-winded, and with a 40 to 50 hour game waiting for you, sometimes you just get tired of watching cutscenes regardless of how good they are. I was also enjoying the combat system and exploring the game world enough to the point that I was ready to just get back to the action.
I need to recharge.
You know what I find helps? Rest and relaxation. Turn the TV off, just have a little me time.
It's hard to fit everything into this review that's good about this game because there's so much to talk about, but I couldn't close this out without discussing the soundtrack, which was performed by the Tokyo Philharmonic Orchestra. Every song is brilliant, and the album was awarded a perfect score on SquareEnixMusic.com, which rated the soundtrack. After 7 hours of playing, I wasn't sure how I felt about this game, and it does take a little while before it finally opens up and shows its full potential, but once it does, it's nothing short of spectacular. In the end, the game did win me over, and not because it looks and sounds great, but because of the amount of depth that it's packing in its very sophisticated battle system. It does relate to Pokemon in a lot of ways, but this is Pokemon at high speed with a lot more to pay attention to and much more interesting boss battles to tackle. It features an open world to explore in its truest form, allowing you to freely go back and forth as you please. I highly recommend checking out some boss battles or gameplay found in the later part of this game if you're at all interested in it. Finally, I did check out Game Informer's review, in which they awarded this title a 7 out of 10, and while I do enjoy most of their reviews, that one is just way off in some aspects. So if you're going to get a second or third opinion, I would probably avoid that review. Anyways, this is Zero at ReviewZoneHD, and thanks for stopping by.